So today's talk is on the Yuganaddha Sutta, the sutta on the importance of practicing shamatha and vipassana in tandem. It's an interesting sutta for a few reasons. One is that it's given by Ananda, and there's not that many teachings by Ananda. So since you're on screen, if you have any questions while I'm reading this or any comments, just feel free to interrupt. And so the Yuganaddha, and Bodhi's right here as usual. You can't wait to hear. This is his favorite sutta. He really likes that tranquility and insight together. Right, Bodes? in the Yuganaddha Sutta, Ananda teaches that those that achieve lasting peace and happiness do so by developing shamatha and vipassana, tranquility and insight in tandem. Once the monks of the Buddha Sangha achieved enlightenment or a relatively high level of understanding, which most of them achieved, they themselves began teaching. In this sutta, Ananda, the Buddha's chief attendant, known to have a word-perfect memory, addressed the gathering. Friends, whoever achieves the unbound state of enlightenment, free of bondage to sense desires, does so by means of one of four paths. When one has developed insight preceded by tranquility, their path is born. They follow the Eightfold Path and develop the path and pursue the path. As they develop the path, their shackles are abandoned and their obsessions destroyed. They are unbound, they are awakened. When one has developed tranquility preceded by insight, their path is born. They follow the Eightfold Path and develop the path and pursue the path. As they develop the path, their shackles are abandoned and their obsessions destroyed. They are unbound, they are awakened. When one has developed tranquility in tandem with insight, their path is born. They follow the Eightfold Path and develop the path and pursue the path. As they develop the path, their shackles are abandoned and their obsessions destroyed. They are unbound, they are awakened. When one's mind has its restlessness and doubt and confusion well under control, their minds grow steadily inward, and their minds settle down. Their mind becomes unified and well concentrated, leading to insight. As they develop the path, their shackles are abandoned and their obsessions destroyed. They are unbound and awakened. Friends, whoever achieves the unbound state of enlightenment, free of the bondage to sense desires, does so by the means of one of these four paths of developing shamatha and vipassana in tandem. That's the end of the sutta. The importance of this sutta is the emphasis on developing the foundation of a mind settled and well concentrated, giving rise to insight into the Dhamma and one's own nature. The qualities that are developed through understanding the Dhamma are grounded in shamatha vipassana meditation. There are 10 paramitas, or great perfections of an awakened human being. These are qualities of mind that are developed through the Dhamma. And those are giving, virtue, patience, loving kindness, renunciation, wisdom, energy, truthfulness, determination, and equanimity. Those are all qualities that are developed through the Dhamma. And you can say that they're all necessary to develop and to maintain the mind of equanimity. The Eightfold Path is characterized as a path of heightened wisdom, heightened virtue, and heightened concentration that incorporate all 10 of those paramitas. As the eighth factor of the Eightfold Path, shamatha vipassana meditation is the meditation technique the Buddha taught to develop the qualities of a tranquil and insightful mind. Within the framework of the Eightfold Path, no other method is likely to develop the qualities necessary for awakening, and tranquility and insight are meant to be developed in tandem as one practice. A meditation practice focused solely on quieting the mind or attempting to reach a state of nothingness with the expectation that Buddha mind will spontaneously arise is not part of the Buddha's teaching and will likely develop a mind of nothingness with no useful insight. This is simply misusing the Dhamma for further distraction in most cases. Using only vipassana as a foundation for practice, or using an analytical form of meditation and calling it vipassana or insight, is not the intention of shamatha vipassana meditation either. The insight gained in shamatha vipassana meditation is insight into our own clinging and insight into the impermanence of all views, including of all views of self. And really the insight that we're hoping to gain and will gain is insight into the three marks of existence, because that is it's becoming preoccupied with the impermanent nature of life and the continual desire to establish a self, a permanent self that can't be done, that creates a constant distraction and creates stress in our lives. Analyzing one's own mental confusion and distractive views will only lead to an overemphasis on confusion and distraction. And it's a common practice to analyze anything that comes up in meditation, to kind of try to find a root cause. When the root cause, if we're following the Buddha's path, the root cause of all confused and deluded mind states is simply ignorance of Four Noble Truths. So in meditation, to start seeking some other explanation for the quality of our mind is simply another distraction. It's the Eightfold Path in its entirety, rooted in Shamatha Vipassana meditation, that develops that entire framework of understanding the nature of stress. And if we just use a meditation practice in an analytical way, all we're really doing is creating more discursive thoughts and kind of chasing our own tail in meditation, because those views that we're seeking a root cause of are rooted in ignorance that can only contribute to further ignorance. So, and that comes up often. Or the other kind of extreme view. I had an interesting question from a student last Wednesday in Flemington, who wanted an example of an extreme view in modern Buddhism. Remember, the Buddha taught an Eightfold Path rooted in Shamatha Vipassana meditation as a middle path between extreme views. So one of the examples that I gave is this notion that we have an inner Buddha nature or a Buddha mind that somehow we can discover during meditation. And of course, that contradicts the Buddha's teaching that it is wrong views that lead to wrong views rooted in ignorance that lead to all manner of confusion, delusion, and suffering. And so the view that I have within myself, within this ignorant view that I've created and live in, that somehow inside that or held within that is an inner Buddha nature, simply contradicts everything that the Buddha is talking about establishing a self-referential view. And of course, it's an extreme view that I can possibly do that. And the other notion, I remember very clearly when this kind of hit me like a ton of bricks, because I was engaged in a meditation practice seeking my inner Buddha nature. I had this realization that if I have an inner Buddha nature, how did it become so confused and diluted in the first place to leave me in a state where I have to keep chasing it? It doesn't make sense. And again, the Buddha never taught that there's anything inherently useful in ignorance. Ignorance is simply to be recognized and abandoned through the Eightfold Path. And that gets back to Shamatha Vipassana in tandem in today's talk. Simply being mindful of the breath or any other point of reference in our meditation practice, such as a candle or a visualization or even a mantra, does not provide the overall framework for seeking insight into impermanence, not self, and dukkha. The framework isn't there. The intention isn't there. And meditation that is focused solely on insight without any framework as to what insight we're looking for, again, will just lead to more confusing views. And I did want to tell a story. A few years ago, I got a call from a gentleman who lives not too far from here, Newtown, Pennsylvania. And it was obvious that he was in distress as soon as I answered the phone. And somehow he had heard of me and he wanted to ask me some questions. And he described his situation. He said that he's 38 years old. I think Kevin, maybe Lynn, you both heard the story. He said that he's 38 years old. He's living the American dream, has a beautiful house, 3 kids, 2 cars, and all that. And he feels like he has nothing in his life. And I says, well, and he says, and I've been meditating for 20 years. And as soon as he said that, I got a little bit of insight into what his problem was. And I said, well, please describe your meditation practice. And he says, well, I'm following a certain tradition that I won't name, but you'll probably guess. And he says that my meditation practice is focusing on nothingness. And I said, would you repeat that? And he says, my meditation practice is focusing on nothingness. And over the phone, I could almost hear the light go off in his mind. He said, holy, I won't complete the word. And he got that what he was focusing on in his meditation for 20 years was nothingness, and that's exactly what his experience was in his life. And what good is it? It was leaving him empty and shallow and with a completely meaningless life. He had achieved a state of nothingness in his own mind, and that's all that he saw. And of course, it wasn't, the Buddha never taught to look for nothingness or to try to create an environment of emptiness in our own mind. He taught a way of developing how to think, how to think when we want to think it, and what to think, what to hold in mind. In the Vitakka Sutta, that's exactly what the Buddha taught. And upon the Buddha's awakening, that's exactly what he achieved. He achieved the ability to think what he wanted to think, when he wanted to think. And he also had a proper framework to apply his thinking, meaning the Eightfold Path. He had developed that refined mindfulness. So that's the talk for today. Any questions or comments? I'll start with you, Lynn.
Okay, well, here's my take on the Buddha nature thing, because I've heard you say this before about the Buddha nature, and I don't interpret it the way a lot of other people do. The way I understand in my own mind, not from anybody's particular teaching, is that the Buddha was a human being.
Yes.
And he, through his own diligence and intention, awakened.
Yes.
So that to me implies that human beings are inherently able to awaken. We are of the nature to be able to awaken.
Yes.
So to me, that's all Buddha nature means is, like the Buddha, we are inherently enabled with the ability to awaken. Nothing more, nothing less. There's nothing magical about it. I don't have to search inside myself for some, little ball of light that's going to turn on.
Yeah.
I just know that I'm a human being like the Buddha, and if I apply myself, I can travel that same path. I'm sure never going to make it to where he made it, but that's, to me, that's all Buddha nature is. And nobody's ever said that's kind of their definition of it.
I think that's beautiful.
That's just,
thank you. Yeah, and that describes it in a very clear and accurate way, as opposed to that we already have an established Buddha nature, and there's not really anything to do except kind of wait for that or meditate long and hard enough, which is usually how it's expressed, that because it's already established within us. And your way of seeing it is the correct way, because it's something that we develop. It's not already established, but we can develop it because we are human beings. And that's such an important understanding. It doesn't deny our own humanity, which is really what another extreme view, and that view of an established Buddha nature kind of denies our own humanity, that we don't have that ability. We need something that is already established, or something that is imposed on us if we work hard enough for it. Thank you for that explanation. That's beautiful. I think I'm going to use it more.
Oh, okay. That's just the way I see it, Like you, I was brought up as a kid. So, I had original sin and all this other crap beat into my head as a kid.
Yeah.
So, I like, the whole... Go ahead.
Please go ahead. No, you go.
I'm just babbling now.
No, you're not. I feel the same way. I was born with that horror of original sin too, but I couldn't figure out, what did I do to deserve this? It wasn't my idea. Kevin, how about you? How you doing today?
Doing well, John. Doing well. Thanks for that talk. I appreciated it. I really appreciate what you said as well, man. That was really insightful. I think that what I gather from that talk, or at least following the shamatha vipassana method, I feel that you do such a good job of explaining it, John. But one piece, the shamatha or the vipassana, is just more treating the symptoms. I mean, it's like the Buddha was called the great physician, and he's teaching us to go past all this, because it's like you cut the head off and it keeps coming back. You got to keep going. You can't just, I meditated and I gathered this big group of thoughts and I had a good meditation, and that's good. That might calm your mind down, but it's not going to get to the root cause of the suffering. And you can spend your whole life meditating or analyzing your thoughts, but it's not you're trying to get to where those thoughts are coming from and eliminate them. And I mean, they're going to happen still, but it's not attaching them and clinging them together. So I really do appreciate it, and I love how it's just always coming back circular. Every teaching, everything on the path just keeps coming back. It's very gentle, and it's like we say, we take refuge in it. It's always there for you. It's what your answers are always there. It's just maybe think about the question first, and you'll get it. But it's great to be here.
Yeah. Thank you, Kevin. The root cause is ignorance. The root cause. So we need a way to develop wisdom to obviate that ignorance, and it's that the first factor of dependent origination is ignorance. And anything that our conditioned thinking, an aspect of ignorance is to ignore something, and conditioned mind requires continued ignorance or continuing ignoring what is really right in front of us in order to maintain a conditioned thinking. And when we develop that refined mindfulness of the Eightfold Path, we develop the wisdom to understand where that ignorance is lying, and we root out the cause of it, directly. So, and getting back to what Lynn said, it's got nothing to do with an inner Buddha nature, but it is developing ourselves as a Buddha. And there's one thing that I would argue with you, Lynn, that you won't achieve that state because you will. Again, the Buddha never held himself out as anything special other than the first guy to figure this out. That's what Tathagata really means. But he said we can do all the same thing, and they did. It's remarkable when you read some of the stories of the and awakened monks and nuns of his Sangha, and how readily they achieved it by simply applying the Dhamma. And we're literally doing the same thing. It's something that, and maybe because of my position, I see it more often, but it's just such an incredible and fortunate thing that the Dhamma is still here in its pure form. It's still usable, because almost from the time of the Buddha, there's been an intense desire to change the Dhamma to fit their views, even the people that came to and listened to the Buddha. So I guess I shouldn't be too concerned when they don't listen to me either. But so I wanted to mention one thing to both of you. We're going through the Truth of Happiness. Kevin knows this Dhamma study as a song, and Lynn knows it too. I put up a dedicated page to those talks. And also I started taping or video recording the class, and I did that last night. It's a little bit choppy yet, but that's up on that page too. And that's on the link on the web page where it says Dhamma Talks and Arc, whatever that is. If you click on that, the drop down menu, and it's 2016-2017 Dhamma study, and you can catch up. So you weren't there last night, Kevin. So if you want, you could catch up with that. Maybe I'll see you Saturday.
You will. I will be there Saturday. I got some homework to do.
Yeah.
It's right here. I got it sitting in my office. Can't tell the boss.
Oh,
my old copy.
Well, that's great. So, this is really wonderful for me. I love being able to do this and connect with you, and right from the comfort of my own home with my dog. It's just great. He loves it.
It is
too.
nice.
Yeah.
Very enjoyable. I really like it. To be able to see and talk to you in real time.
Oh, it's great. Yeah. So, well, any other questions or comments? No. Okay. We get Kevin out the door before 12:45, so that's a good thing. Okay. So, and I'm streaming the Tuesday and Saturday classes now too. So, you can always join in on that, Lynn, if you want. So.
We're going to be on camera now, John, every week, every day.
Pardon me? Well, I won't put this unless somebody wants to be on camera. I won't put anybody in the song. And there's a few people that are concerned with being, I don't know, just acknowledged. And I can understand that. There's some people that have professional licenses, and they're, in that community, being a Buddhist might not be all that comfortable for them. So I understand. So
my community too, my professional community.
It's really strange that meditation and mindfulness is much more well accepted, but as soon as you put any type of religious label on it, it becomes a problem. But again, this isn't a religion that we're practicing. It's simply a way of self-development and true transformation. But, so I wish you all a wonderful day, and we'll finish with metta. I like to finish with metta, but I'll take you off screen while we do it.
Okay.
And and I'll see you next week, I hope.
Yeah.
I'll see you Saturday.
Bye, Lynn.
Thank you.
Bye, Kevin.
How do I do this? Bye-bye. So we'll finish with the Buddha's words on metta from the Karaniya Metta Sutta. Let me just pull it up. So you could gently close your eyes and gently close your mouths and take a moment to become aware of the sensation of breathing again. And let that mindfulness of your breath cease any distracting thoughts to the past or to the future, or that may have arisen from our talk today. And as you know, metta means goodwill or love and kindness. And metta is both an aspiration for those of us developing the Eightfold Path, and it's an expression of a fully awakened, fully mature human being. And these are the Buddha's words on metta. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud or demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove. Wishing in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short, or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings. Radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will. Whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness, one should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding. By not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, is not born again into this world. Thank you for a wonderful class. Peace.